Tim, you also have been doing other things this week with video, and that is a new ebook that just hit the store. So why don't you talk about that a little bit? I'm going to go get it and show it to the camera here in a second.
Yeah, so, for a long time I've been wanting to tell a story that allowed you to, read and to look at photos, look at graphics, and watch video. And I attempted to do this about 10 years ago with different projects on the internet, and I was able to build an audience, but I wasn't able to monetize the content directly. I was able to get studios to hire me to build websites like that for them, like for the movie Fight Club. I did a website, and but I came up with this idea. It's looking a little shifty there.
I think we might have to do this in post.
You went to a white page.
Yep.
So what it is there you go. So you can kind of navigate through the book. There you go. You got it. So you're going through the index right now. But you page through the book. It's a normal book, and then you watch videos. And this is a story about a woman who, back in 2001, was jilted, and she built a website of revenge to get back at her married lover who had dumped her. And she stalked him. She caught him with other women. She posted all that online, and then after 4 million people came to the site, it was hacked down, and she hasn't been seen from since. So this story, Vids, is available on the iPad, and it's a story of what happened to her.
Now talk about the production a little bit, because this is a book, but you had production, you had actors and video, and it's really remarkable. So what did it take to make this?
Yeah. So what I did is I really went about it in, thinking about it in how can I keep the production costs as low as possible. So it's all shot with home video cameras, because that's what the characters would use to go stalk the, in real life somebody wouldn't be shooting with the red camera, they'd be using a home video camera. And so that's what the main character Hartley does, is she shoots this surveillance video and only uses it as a way home video would be used, or hidden cameras would be used. And so that, I didn't have to pay for a camera crew or rent cameras or anything like that. And all the lighting in it is done with lights that you would find in hotel rooms or condos or houses. And all the locations were hotel rooms, condos, or houses, or outdoors. Nothing was shot on a soundstage. Priceline was my best friend, and yeah, so it was a lot of fun shooting it, and it was, it took a while. It took me about 10 years to finish this project, but it was a lot of fun working on it, and I wish I knew who it was. Somebody like last year said to me, whatever you were working on 10 years ago, take another look at it. If it didn't work, take another look at it and see if there's a way that you can monetize it now. And I'm so glad I heard that, because that's what made me rejuvenate this project. And I think it's going to be a new way for a lot of independent web series creators to monetize their content. Because you've got a cash register at the iTunes store.
And
Tim,
sorry, go ahead, Sarah.
How did you decide, as far as content, when it was appropriate to insert a video, or when the pictures were appropriate, as far as keeping the continuity of the story?
Right. Well, the whole thing was built in my mind as a website that she built to taunt this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I approached the story, was as he discovers the website, he's looking at it, and you're looking at it with him. And so that's how you go through the book through his lenses.
Do you think the fact that it's based in reality is attracting more people than if it was fictional?
Well, it is fictional.
Well, yeah.
And so the lines are blurred here, and I'm getting calls and emails from people already. They're like, so how come I didn't hear about this when it happened back in 2001? And I'm like, because it wasn't real. They're like, no, the stalking part, was it because of the war broke out, the Gulf War, that 9/11, nobody was talking about? I was like, no, it's fiction.
You could have the next War of the Worlds here, where everybody thinks it's real and they try to figure out who the lobbyist is, right?
Yeah, I mean, War of the Worlds is one of my favorites. I'm a big Orson Welles fan, and I would have to say the whole War of the Worlds thing is what really got me interested in storytelling and blurring the lines between fact and fiction. I just love it. I was a big fan of Lonely Girl and other projects that I was doing back in 99, 2000, also blurred the lines between reality and fiction, and it's not until now that I really see a way. In fact, when I tried to do this kind of stuff back in 2001, I signed up for Google AdWords, and at that time you had to fill out an application.
Right.
And they looked at the site, they called me up, and they're like, what are you selling? I'm like, oh, this is a new interactive story. And they're like, well, yeah, but what's your website? And I'm like, it's an interactive story. And they're like, yeah, sorry, you can't have Google AdWords.
Oh, really? So they weren't keen on the whole thing yet, right?
They didn't get it.
If only they knew then, because Apple and Amazon have kind of dominated this whole interactive story component, where they're collecting. Now, Apple's taking what, 30%?
Yeah, it's a 70-30 split, and you can sell your book in 32 different countries, and it doesn't have to be in that country's language to sell it there. So I'm selling this book in English in 32 different countries right now.
And you think about the distribution problems you had 10 years ago, pushing a gig of video on top of all the text and everything else. There really wasn't a standard format. There wasn't a tablet to read it on. There wasn't all of those things, and now we have all of it, including the broadband connection to make it work. So it's kind of exciting. I think back a little bit with some of these books to maybe the story-based CD-ROMs that we had back in the mid '90s, but again, there was hardware issues and distribution problems, and I think the iPad format's a lot more compelling because it is so much more personal, like a book is. So was some of this footage shot 10 years ago, Tim, or did you shoot new footage for now?
No,
oh, wow.
it was shot. Our first day of casting was actually on September 11th.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long project, and it's fun to actually see it out.
That's great, and we hope sales will go through the roof, and we'll certainly talk a lot about that book. I'd love to hear your experiences as this develops and as the customer base builds, and I'm sure there's probably going to be some interaction with your fans over this too. So we'd love to hear how this begins to percolate over time. So it must feel good to finally get it out.
I just hope I can infect other video creators to go out and do an ebook where they make up their own thing with their own video and make some money on it.
And one last question before we move on. Was the development hard to do? Did you do it yourself? Did you hire somebody? What are some of the tips you'd say to people?
iBook Author, it's an app that you download from Apple. The price is a little sketchy. It's free. So you have to deal with that aspect of it.
Right.
But if you're familiar with Keynote, you're going to love iBook Author. Go make a book and get it on the iBook store.
That's fantastic. Well, Tim,
great.
Congratulations. It's really exciting it must feel so liberating to finally get this thing out after all this time, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure. And to have it the way that I envisioned it, that's nice.
So when iBooks came out, the light bulb must have just went off, right?
Yeah, and I was like, well, one day when I figure out how to become a programmer, I'll make one. And then iBook Author came along, and it was a done deal.